Imagine this. The sun dips below the horizon, painting the sky in fiery oranges and purples. The world is vast, wild, and filled with dangers that lurk in the shadows. For our earliest ancestors, nightfall wasn't a time for rest. It was a time of fear. A lone human was vulnerable, an easy target. But then, something changed. A spark, a flame, a discovery that would alter the course of human history forever. Fire. And with fire came cooking. The first bite of cooked meat wasn't just a taste sensation, it was a revolution. It was easier to chew, easier to digest, and it unlocked nutrients that fueled our growing brains. The first bite was survival. But it was the second bite, the one shared with another, that was truly transformative. That second bite was celebration. Welcome back to our journey through human ingenuity. Today, we're re-exploring one of the most fundamental shifts in our social evolution. How the simple act of sharing a meal around a crackling fire forged the very first communities. Before we dive in, if you love exploring the origins of human culture, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss a single discovery. So, picture our Stone Age ancestors. They've hunted, they've gathered, and now they huddle around the fire, the only beacon of light and warmth in a dark, uncertain world. At first, the fire was just for safety and for cooking individual meals. But humans are observant creatures. They started to notice something profound. When they ate together, the fear seemed to lessen. The circle of light felt stronger, more secure. There was strength in numbers, not just for hunting, but for living. This simple observation was the seed of community. From this observation came experimentation. One small group might have had a successful hunt, bringing back a large animal, more than a single family could eat before it spoiled. What do? Instead of letting it go to waste, they invite others to the fire. The next day, another group might have foraged a bounty of roots and berries. They, in turn, share their findings. Slowly, a system of reciprocity begins to form. Tribes started taking turns, not just in hunting or gathering, but in preparing and sharing food. It wasn't a formal agreement. It was an intuitive dance of survival. This wasn't just about food anymore. It was about building a network of trust. I'll feed you today, because I trust you'll feed me tomorrow. This was the dawn of social contracts, written not on stone tablets, but in the shared experience of a meal. But human nature is complex, isn't it? The path to cooperation wasn't always smooth. Inevitably, there would have been individuals or groups who tried a different strategy. Hoarding. They'd keep their successful hunt to themselves, hiding their surplus, driven by a fear of scarcity. But what happened? This hoarding led to jealousy, suspicion, and conflict. A group weakened by internal strife was a group that could effectively defend itself from a predator or survive a harsh winter. The failure of hoarding taught our ancestors a critical lesson. A full belly today at the expense of your neighbor meant an empty and dangerous tomorrow for everyone. The realization was stark and simple. Sharing wasn't just an act of kindness. It was the ultimate survival strategy. The group's survival depended on everyone's well-being. And so, through trial and error, a new mastery was achieved. Shared meals evolved from a practical necessity into something more. They became a ritual. The successful hunt was no longer just about getting food. It was a reason to gather, to celebrate. The fire became the first stage. Around it, the day's events were recounted. Laughter echoed through the trees. Stories were told, tales of bravery, of cunning animals, of the spirits that lived in the forests and rivers. This was the birth of culture. The conversations that happened over those shared meals were as nourishing as the food itself. This was where bonds were forged, where knowledge was passed down, where children learned the ways of the tribe. The shared meal became the first, and perhaps most important, celebration of life and unity. It was the heart of the community. It's a powerful thought, isn't it? That something as simple as eating together laid the foundation for everything we now call society, art, and culture. It really brings home the moral of this evolutionary chapter. Food nourished the body, but it was the act of sharing that nourished the soul. It transformed a scattered collection of individuals into a cohesive, cooperative, and thriving community. It turned survival into living. This newfound spirit of sharing and abundance didn't just stop at the campfire. As communities grew stronger and more secure, they started producing more than they needed. So, what happens when one tribe has a surplus of sharp flint and another has a surplus of animal hides? They begin to exchange. And that, my friends, is a story for our next episode, The Birth of Trade. We'll explore how the first marketplaces emerged and how they connected the ancient world in ways no one could have imagined. Thank you so much for joining me on this incredible journey back in time. What do you think is the most important part of sharing a meal? Let me know in the comments below. I love reading your thoughts. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with anyone who loves to wonder about our shared human story. Until next time, stay curious.